Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Marco Gutierrez. I'm a member of the agent marketing team, and I'm happy to walk you guys through our newest program, Best of Zillow, provide you guys with an overview of the program, sort of the why behind it, as well as walk you through some of the new resources and some of the upcoming benefits that you'll see as part of this program. But before we get started, wanted to take a minute just to go through some housekeeping items. So first and foremost, I'm coming to you live from sunny Seattle, so this is a live Q&A. So by all means, if you have questions throughout the presentation and you're on desktop, on the right-hand side, you should see a little blue Q&A button. Simply click that and feel free to submit questions throughout the presentation. We'll be sure to get to those at the end once there's time left. Additionally, if you're on mobile, you can use that function as well to submit questions if need be. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive right in. Oh, sorry, the last thing I wanted to call out, if there's any folks on the line, team members who weren't able to attend this, but if you want to also access this at a later stage, we will be sending out a follow-up tomorrow with a link to this recorded session. So you guys can share this with your broader team or access it at any time should you want to revisit some of this content at a later date. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. And before we dive into some of the content here, wanted to play a little something for you guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I wanted to know more about the house.
Is it for rent or to buy?
To buy.
Did you say?
Yes.
Yeah, that got bought. That's no longer available.
It got bought already?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I know what many of y'all are thinking, and it's the same reaction we've gotten from almost every agent who's heard this recording. And let's take a minute to put ourselves in this customer's shoes. She's certainly not going to be working with this agent, let alone recommending him to friends or family in the near future. Even worse, she could easily take to any of the social media sites whose logo you see on the slide and share her experience not only with her immediate network, but the world. And just as concerning is that most dissatisfied customers actually stay quiet. In fact, the data backs this up. Studies have shown that customers who speak out about for every customer who speaks out about poor performance, there's roughly 26 others that don't say anything. In other words, 4% of dissatisfied customers only speak up. This means that most customers who've had a negative experience simply took their business elsewhere without giving you any chance to learn from that experience. And technology has made customer experience more important than ever before because customers can now broadcast their experiences with the click of a button to the entire world and even find an alternative provider with another click. And with this new Best of Zillow program, what we'll provide you with is insight into how your customers feel about their experience with you, allowing you to have more visibility into those areas of strength and opportunities during those interactions. So let's dive in and get a better understanding as to why we decided to create this program. So this program was created with both agents and customers in mind. The first 2 points on this slide speak to Zillow's commitment to meeting customers' and agents' evolving expectations, while ensuring that no customer has an experience like the one from the call earlier. More importantly, though, we want to help you close more transactions, and we'll do that by providing you with more in-depth and real-time feedback direct from customers. Finally, we want to recognize all the great work y'all do. With Best of Zillow, we'll be able to showcase exceptional agents, helping them stand out in the crowded real estate space. So now we have a better understanding of sort of the why behind this program. Let's take a quick look at the program itself. The new Best of Zillow program has 3 key components. On the left, you see Measure. We want to be able to provide you with the right data in order to gain a deeper understanding of your customer's perception of their experience. We'll share this survey data from survey responses through your customer experience report, which I'm sure most of you guys have already accessed. Next, we have ACT. We just don't want to give you numbers. We want to make the data actionable, and we'll do that by providing you with a suite of training resources that we've put together in order to help you interpret, understand, and respond to the data in your report. Finally, all the way on the right, we have reward. And this is my personal favorite one to talk about. We know many of you have consistently gone above and beyond for your customers. Put simply, we want to reward and celebrate your effort and success. That's why later this year, we'll be rolling out rewards for agents who receive the highest marks. So let's go ahead and dive into Measure by first looking into how we go about collecting customer data. So first and foremost, we collect feedback through surveys sent only to your leads and your connections during various points of your working relationship. I want to reiterate that, only to your leads and your connections. This means no random individual will ever be able to complete a survey through the Premier Agent profile or in any other way. Surveys are sent to individuals we've had the opportunity to connect live with. The first survey is sent out 24 hours after we connect you. I know many of you guys might be thinking, wait, why so soon? Well, the reason why we've decided to send out the first survey at such an early milestone is because we all understand the importance of that first impression and how critical it is in setting you guys up for success. Many agents we've spoken with as we built out the program have told us that gaining insight into that initial conversation can be essential in helping them adjust their sales approach. Now, with this program, we don't just want to be able to provide you with feedback on one interaction. We want to be able to share you guys feedback from your entire working relationship, which is why later this year, we'll be rolling out surveys 15 and 45 days after we connect you. And in speaking with thousands of customers during months of research, the Zillow research team has uncovered that customers are not only looking for, but more importantly, value different traits at different stages of the home shopping journey. We want to be able to collect those and share those insights with you to help you along that relationship. Once again, our goal here is to provide you with a holistic view on your performance with customers from initial contact to close, hopefully allowing you to gain a better understanding into how your sales approach at the end of the day is resonating with those customers. So now that we have an understanding of how we go about collecting this, let's dive into the actual report. So 4 key components, we'll walk through those here, and this is what the output will look like on your end. So first we have the customer experience score. This is direct customer feedback on their experience with you during their initial conversation. This data sits at the center of the Best of Zillow program and serves as a good reference point for you and your team's understanding on how your customers are perceiving their experience with you. Next, we have what we're calling brand recall. This section has 2 metrics, connection rate and remembered my name. And with these data points, you'll understand how sticky your personal or brokerage's brand is with customers. Here, you'll find questions like, did they remember speaking with you? Do they remember your name, your brokerage's name? The goal of these metrics is to help you better understand how you're standing out in your customer's mind during that initial conversation. Next, intent to work with data. This section shows if you're compelling customers to take or consider taking that next step with you. We think it's super important data to understand because it helps quantify how well you're converting phone calls to meetings or showings. And finally, we have traits. Here you'll see the traits that are helping you succeed. These are traits that customers have told us they look for and value in agents. This isn't a long list because we want to make it as easy as possible for you to consume. What you'll see here are the traits grouped as by showing you which ones you're excelling in, as well as which ones you have opportunity to grow. So, quick overview of the output. We'll be diving into the report later on. But now that we have an understanding of what you see on your end, let's take a look at what customers see on their end. So, quick reminder, this survey is sent out 24 hours after your initial phone conversation. And these are the 3 key questions of the survey. All the way on the left, you see, did you connect? This determines your connection rate, which falls under that brand recall metric component. In the middle, you see, do you plan to continue working with this agent? This determines what we call your intent to work with score. Currently, we're only including yes responses, and if you get a yes after just one call, you should feel great because we know that's super hard to do. However, since we understand that that's not always the case, soon we'll be including maybe responses here as well. And finally, all the way on the right, you see the question, how satisfied are you with your customer experience? This determines your overall customer experience score. It's a simple 1 to 5 star feedback mechanism, similar to the way you leave your Uber or Lyft driver feedback after your ride. Based on the responses to these questions, there's some additional questions that get asked, including those that identify the traits they feel you've excelled in during that conversation, as well as the ones that you have an opportunity to grow. So let's take a quick look at the customer experience survey. As a quick reminder for any of those who haven't yet had a chance to access the report, the best way to do it is once you log in, under the reporting tab, click it, you'll see customer experience report, and it'll take you to this page here. So first things first, if you're a team lead, you can easily see your team by individual here and access any one of their report. And it's a good opportunity and a good way for you to have those conversations be facilitated by some of the data here. So just below that, you'll see 3 tabs, one for each of the reports that will be, for each of the surveys that we'll be sending out and we'll have reports for later on this year. But for now, we'll focus on the first contact report. The layout of the next 2 will follow this layout fairly closely. The first thing you'll see excuse me, is the customer experience score. Here, you'll notice the numbered score, just below it, the rating level that you're in, and how you're ranking and stacking up against the rest of Premier Agent. On the right-hand side, you see a chart with the last 4 months and the trend line on how your score has been fluctuating during that time period. Once again, the gray line showing you how you're comparing to the rest of Premier Agent. And then just below that, you'll see a how to improve with a tip to give you some guidance, as well as a learn more link that will take you to any relevant training associated with each of the components here. Now, the one other call out I wanted to make for individual agents here accessing their score, what you'll see here depicted in this number is the latest 20 data points that we've received. For any teams, it's the latest 40. And that's the experience score. Just below that, we have connection rate. Once again, similar in layout, but slightly different in how it's calculated. So layout tells you how you're performing on the connection rate, how you stack up against Premier Agent, and once again, the trend line here over the last 4 months compared to the Premier Agent trend average over the last 4 months. However, here, we're still showing you the last 20 data points, but in order for this and any other section of the customer experience report to be unlocked, you need a minimum of 5 data points. The reason being is because we're using a different statistical approach in calculating this versus calculating the experience score. But once again, similar in layout in the sense that you'll have a how to improve tab just below with some tips, and there'll also be associated trainings there as well. Below that, you'll see plan to work with, remembered your name, scheduled appointment. And once again, for these, you need a minimum of 5 data points in order for them to turn on. Now, the one other call out I wanted to make here is that none of these scores or none of the components below the experience score roll up into the experience score and how it's calculated. The experience score is completely separate based on a completely different question in that customer experience survey. The data points below the customer experience score in your report do not roll up or feed into the customer experience score in any way. They're all independent. Later on in 2019, we'll be turning on the traits, and that's all the way here at the bottom. Once we have data for agents, what you'll see here are the traits which customers have told us you're doing well in, as well as the traits where you have opportunities to grow. And in this section, you'll have once again, links to any relevant trainings to help you improve in any of these given traits. And that's the customer experience report. One last thing I wanted to highlight, in case you guys want to learn more about the report, how it's calculated, the approach, you can click the link up here that says learn more about our method to take you to the relevant Premier Agent Resource Center article that goes into depth regarding all of this. So as I mentioned earlier, one of our goals here is to showcase and reward agents who consistently get great feedback from customers for going above and beyond. That's why we created the rating system that you see here. It's a rating based solely on your customer experience score, which, if you recall, comes from the question in the survey, how would you rate your experience with the agent? We have 4 ratings, and I'm happy to share that most of our agents are falling into the good or best of categories, which is really awesome to see. For agents who have a best of designation, we have exciting rewards that I'll shortly reveal. Before moving on, though, I did want to cover agents who fall into the poor rating category, which you see all the way on the left. These are agents who have below a 73 customer experience score. These are agents who have consistently received either 1 or 2 star feedback, and agents with this rating will have an opportunity to improve their score with access to all of our training modules in the program. Eventually, though, we do plan on canceling these agents from the Zillow advertising site, from advertising on Zillow sites, but more details of that to come in the future. But with that said, the training is going to be a really critical component to this program, so I'd love to give you guys a quick overview of what we've launched so far. To support you in serving your clients, we've gathered feedback from over 3,500 Zillow home shoppers on traits and behaviors that they value most, and from Premier agents who have provided exceptional customer experience so that we can learn from their best practices. Based on what we've learned, we created an initial suite of training modules for all the sections of the customer experience report. On the left-hand side, you see the traits that are associated with the report. We'll have trainings for each of those, as well as on the right, you have the other behaviors, which are the other components of the report. A good example that I actually personally like to call out is one that we've heard from an agent regarding communication. She told our research team that she would always use text to follow up with customers, confirm appointments, send home recs, until one day a customer actually proactively went to her and said, hey, really love what you're sharing with me and all the follow-up, but I actually don't really read too well and would prefer a phone call. She had never thought of ever asking her customers what their preferred communication method was because she just assumed I text, everyone texts. Now what she does is before the end of any conversation, she proactively asks her customers, hey, how do you prefer to communicate? Like, is text okay, or do you prefer phone calls, emails? Once again, all of these small attention to detail, but helping your customers have a better experience with you in order to continue to improve and do well. So that's the training, and let's move on to my personal favorite part, which is the rewards. Beginning in April, we have 3 very exciting rewards for agents who have a Best of Zillow rating. First, these agents will stand out with a special Best of Zillow badge on our sites. This badge will appear both on your profile and on the Agent Finder. Next, in the middle, you see Zillow will showcase the Best of Zillow agents as a group to customers in various stages throughout the home shopping journey. And finally, all the way on the right, we'll be providing agents with a marketing toolkit, which will include templates with high-res photos, as well as best of Zillow logos to help you elevate your brand and really stand out. So I know we've covered a lot here over the last few minutes, but wanted to take a moment to kind of recap this entire program so that we can really understand how it all comes together. So first, we'll connect you with a customer who's interested in speaking with you, as we normally do. Once again, that's part of PA4. 24 hours after that initial conversation, the customer will have an opportunity to fill out a survey on their experience. And assuming you guys continue to work together, they'll also get surveys later on at the 15 and 45-day milestones. If they respond to the rate your experience with this agent question on the survey, you'll see a customer experience score. Once again, only visible to you and your team lead if you're on a team. That score puts you in a rating tier, which will influence the rewards you have access to. And that's it. That's the Best of Zillow program. So with that said, I know we've had questions trickling in. Feel free to ask any questions now. I'm going to take a minute to look through them and begin going through some of the Q&A, some of the queue that we've gone and provide some answers to them. And once again, you can submit questions using the Q&A button on the right-hand side if you're on desktop, and submit them that way. So give me 1 second to pull that up. Okay, so let's see what we have here. So the question is, how's the customer experience score different from my client reviews on my profile? It's a great question. Your customer experience score is a private rating that's direct from customer surveys that get sent out. We send those surveys to customers during the various stages of the relationship, as we illustrated earlier in the conversation today. Reviews on your profile, anyone can do them, and they're totally public. Keep doing that because they're very important and they help you stand out with home shoppers. But the customer experience survey the customer experience score is different in the sense that this is feedback direct from your customers and provided through the survey that we sent to them. The next question is, who can see the customer experience report and score? Is this ever public? So the report and score are meant just for you. It's not public, it's private. If you're part of a team, your team lead will also have access to the report. And the reason why we do that is because we find it, we've been told that it's really helpful in helping facilitate coaching conversations. And it's a really good way for your team lead to understand where you're excelling in and where some of those opportunities are. But to reiterate, the report and score, private, that will never get published and shared with either customers or other agents. How's the customer experience data gathered is the next question. So once again, we gather this through a survey that we send out, and customers have an option to fill this out either through email, through text, or on the Zillow app. And just as a quick reminder, I'm currently sending them out 24 hours after that initial conversation, but we'll also be sending them out at 15 and 45-day milestones later on this year. The next question here is, will my score or rating impact the number of leads I receive? Absolutely not. Your customer experience score will in no way impact the number of leads you're receiving from Zillow. Next question. Can I see my scores from specific customers? No. And the reason we do that is because we're really committed to anonymity when surveying customers, and we want to ensure that customers are feeling comfortable enough to provide you with open and honest and candid feedback. And so because of that, we're keeping the responses to these surveys anonymous, but know that these are individuals who have had an opportunity to speak with you. So how do I become best of Zillow? Great question, and love the fact that that came in because it shows a lot of y'all are motivated to get there. So to become best of Zillow, you just have to continue providing a superior customer experience to your customers. You saw some of the traits there, being able to communicate well, being responsive, understanding their needs, just being able to be proactive and go above and beyond. Customers will appreciate that and will review you well. That's the trend that we've been seeing. Agents who are attentive, agents who are proactive, those are the agents who are getting high marks from their customers regarding their experience. It has nothing to do with whether you know the specific details of any given property, but it's you being able to provide that customer service to them. And if you're not familiar with the property that they may be inquiring on, being able to say, hey, I'm not sure just quite yet, but let me get back to you by the end of the day with some additional detail. Little things like that once again enhance your customer's experience with you will result in them giving you those 5-star reviews. And in order to become best of Zillow, you need a minimum score of a 90, which at the beginning takes about 4 to 5 5-star reviews to get there. But once again, based on the model, it depends on sort of how you're trending as to whether or not you might need a little bit more 5-star reviews to get to that 90 score. But once again, 90 or greater, and just continue providing exceptional service to all customers that you interact with. Can I lose my best of Zillow rating? Yes, you can lose your best of Zillow rating if your score dips below a 90. What we're going to be doing is checking the scores of all our agents on a quarterly basis. And so making sure that you're able to maintain above a 90 throughout the quarter will be critical for you keeping the best of Zillow status or getting best of Zillow status. But if your score does dip below that 90 level, yes, you can lose your best of Zillow rating. Next question is, how often does my rating and score refresh? So your score, rating, and other data in the report is updated daily. So we'll pull that daily. The Best of Zillow badging for any of those agents who receive that later on in April. That will be refreshed, once again, quarterly at those specific intervals throughout the year. So next one is a team question. So as a team lead, will I be able to see my team members' score or rating, and will my team members be able to see other team members' score and rating? So answer to that first question is yes. As a team lead, using that drop-down menu on the top left-hand corner of the report, you'll be able to access all your team members' score and rating and be able to have those more effective coaching conversations with them. But to the second question, will my team members be able to see other team members' score and rating? The answer to that is no. When they open up their report, all they'll see is themselves and not have that drop-down menu to access other team members. Okay, so here, a question regarding sort of the mechanics of the survey. If a connection is reassigned in the first 24 hours, will the survey be sent to the first agent who received the connection or the agent that the lead was reassigned to? Great question. So the 24-hour survey will go to whoever took the call. The 15-day and 45-day survey will end up going to the agent who's reassigned. Once again, we do this because the intent behind the initial interaction survey is to get customer feedback on how that first call, that first conversation went. That's why even if you do end up reassigning the lead within the first 24 hours, it's still going to go to the individual who took the initial call. Question regarding the survey. Does the consumer have to answer all questions for the survey to count? So yes, no. Consumers cannot skip a question, although they can abandon the survey. But at any point, if they do abandon the survey, whatever they have already answered does get used. Do direct phone call leads also get a survey? At the moment, no, but this is planned for later this year. So what happens when a consumer submits additional inquiries? Well, with PA4, we send multiple inquiries from a consumer to the same agent. So the consumer will only get one 24-hour survey request to evaluate their experience with the agent that they were at the end of the day able to connect with. So if a customer, if a customer responds that they plan to continue working with an agent, does this extend the my agent relationship? Great question. Yes, it absolutely does. So if a customer responds yes to the intent to work with question, we do extend the My Agent relationship to 1 year. If a customer answers maybe, there's no impact to that My Agent relationship. And then if the customer responds no to that question, we end up removing the My Agent relationship. So once again, some added benefit here for any customers who respond yes to I intend to work with this agent. They'll have that My Agent relationship get extended for a year. How many survey responses do I need to get a score? Great question. So we covered this earlier, but in order to have your customer experience score turn on, so that first component, you need one survey response, and that will turn on for you. In order to have the other components of the CXR get unlocked, that's your connection rate, intent to work with, schedule an appointment. Traits, you'll need a minimum there of 5 data points in order for that data to turn on and be displayed. When do Best of Zillow agents get the badge? Ooh, someone's eager. Great question. On April 2nd. So Best of Zillow agents will receive their badge starting April 2nd. So how do I improve my customer experience score? Well, great question. So as I mentioned earlier, we have trainings to help you that are targeted at each of the components within that report. So all those trainings are easily accessible through the actual report themselves via link. Simply click on them. It'll take you to that module, and you can read through some of the content that we have there. Once again, the type of stuff that we'll have there, some great tips, insider tricks from some of our agents who are best in class, as well as some additional definition and context around what some of our customers mean when they think of some of those traits: responsive, understands my needs, things like that. Is this something we need to sign up for? Is there an additional charge? No. As long as you're paying us for leads, you're in a way eligible. So all leads that, once again, we send you through connection, you'll be able. They'll have an opportunity to respond to that survey, and you'll have an opportunity in turn to have a customer experience score and become Best of Zillow. Can we rank and score each agent in the team individually? Yep, great question. So team leads, once again, can look at each agent's score and report individually, but we don't necessarily rank them in one screen. What is a data point? Great question. So when we're referring to data points, we're referring to like a piece of information from a survey response. So every survey response in a way is one data point. What about missed connections? Do those hurt you? No, they don't, because once again, surveys are only gone to individuals who you've had an opportunity to connect with live. Are there training modules to enhance skills and traits when working with leads? Yes, absolutely. Once again, in addition to the training that we have that's associated with the Best of Zillow program, we have an entire suite of training resources as well for all our agents available through the Premier Agent Resource Center. Is it possible for us to show how many reviews are taken into account. In other words, is my current score based out of 1 or 10 responded surveys? So currently we don't offer that level of detail, unfortunately. Once again, to protect the anonymity of customers and being able to answer the survey. Once again, though, at the most it's going to be the 20 most recent, but currently, like, we wouldn't be able to say, oh, like, your score is based only out of 2. So will metrics change when you start gathering information further down the buying process? Right now, it seems the score is heavily based on initial contact. Yes, so currently the score is based off of just the initial contact, but as once we roll out the 15 and 45 day, you'll see those separately, but those will be aggregated into an overall score as well. The connection rate, is it based on notes and email recorded to the lead? No, so all of the metrics here on the customer experience report come directly from the customer experience survey. So that comes from the customer's response on, do they recall speaking with an agent regarding the property that they inquired on? So how many lead reviews does an agent need to get the badge displayed? So I'm thinking here the question is, what's the minimum number, or how many survey responses do I need in order to become best of Zillow? So once again, you need a minimum score of 90, and depending on how many surveys you've had, that number could be different. A new agent who's gotten 4 or 5-star pieces of feedback in a row will likely be best of Zillow, but that would be different for someone who has 20 data points that are being taken into account. So that just depends. How many consumers declined the survey? That's a really great question. So I'm happy to provide some context here and as well, and before answering the question specifically. So typically with these types of surveys, the industry standard is about a 6% response rate. But we're really actually very proud to let you guys know that we're seeing roughly a 20% response rate. So 1 in 5 customers are responding to the survey, which is really great because it shows that consumers are willing and eager to provide that feedback, as well as the survey is an easy enough lift for them to be able to answer. Some additional context on the survey, it's what we've been seeing is it roughly takes customers 7 to 9 seconds to fully finish. So it's not a big chunk of time that they're spending on it. It's quick and easy, once again, similar to the way they would rate their experience with an Uber driver. So just looking through some of the last ones, there's a couple of repeats, and there's some really specific questions here. And the best way to get those answered is to reach out to your BC, but more on that shortly. So when do these reports start showing data? I'm not sure if I don't have enough data or if it just hasn't started yet. So if you have enough data, it should be showing. So chances are, if you're not seeing anything, there hasn't been a response yet that has been received. So as a quick reminder, for the customer experience score, you just need 1 survey response for that to get unlocked and for you to see what that score is. For any of the other components below that in the customer experience report, once again, connection rate, intent to work with, appointment scheduled, you need a minimum of 5 data points in order for that to turn on. And once you have those 5 data points, you'll likely see those. connection rate rated on answers the phone calls. So here we have a connection rate question. So let me just kind of explain that one more time. So the connection rate question is based off of if the customer recalls speaking with an agent regarding the property they inquired. So yes, it's based off of the phone call, and if they just recall having that conversation with you, that's what that question is based on. So I'm seeing just a couple more, but once again, these are a little specific, so I'll provide some guidance on what to do there. But it looks like things have slowed down. So I encourage anyone that still has an open question that might have been too specific here for me to answer to have a conversation with your business consultant. If you aren't sure who that might be, simply log into Zillow.com, look at your dashboard on your profile page, and you'll be able to see your business consultant's name as well as their manager's name. And you can feel free to click on that and either email them or call them directly with any additional questions that you may have that are either specific to your rating or to your customer experience report. They'll be more than happy to provide additional detail and answers to those questions. With that, I want to thank everyone for taking a moment of their day to join us. I hope this has been a helpful overview. We're excited to really kick things off and excited to find new ways to highlight some of our best agents, because we know that a lot of you guys go above and beyond for customers each and every day. And really we want to make sure that we begin to highlight that and shout that from the mountaintop as loud as we can, so that consumers really know when you guys can stand out. So once again, thank you guys and have a great day.